Some nights don't knock before they change your life. They just sit quietly beside you, waiting for you to notice how tired you really are. This is a story about one ordinary evening, one small act of kindness, and how sometimes a single night can give you enough strength to keep going. If you've ever felt like you were running out of places to land, this one's for you. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe to your channel name like this video and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps these stories reach people who might need them tonight. I hadn't planned on knocking on her door. In fact, I sat in my car for almost 10 minutes with the engine off, staring at the porch light like it might turn red and tell me to leave. My phone was dead, my suitcase sat half open on the back seat, and everything I owned that really mattered felt heavier than it should have. Her house looked warm in a way mine never did anymore. Soft yellow light leaked through the kitchen window. I could hear water running, the clink of dishes, life continuing as if nothing had fallen apart. When I finally knocked, it was quiet, too quiet. I almost turned away. Then the door opened. She stood there barefoot, wearing an oversized t-shirt, her hair still damp like she'd just finished a long day and hadn't planned on entertaining anyone. She looked surprised, but not annoyed. That mattered more than she probably knew. "Hey," she said softly, "are you okay?" That question cracked something in me. I tried to answer, but all that came out was a shrug. She didn't push. She just stepped aside and opened the door wider. "You can stay," she said after a moment. Then she added carefully, "but only tonight." I nodded, my voice barely working. Maybe that's all I need. She didn't ask what happened. She didn't ask how long I'd been carrying that look on my face. She just let me in. The kitchen smelled like soap and warm bread. The sink was full, but in an honest way, like someone had lived there all day. She pulled out a chair and pointed to it like it was the most natural thing in the world. "Sit," she said. "You look like you've been standing for weeks." I sat. My shoulders dropped before I realized they'd been up near my ears. She poured me a glass of water, slid it across the counter, and leaned back against the sink. The same one in the window light. She looked tired too, but steady, like someone who had learned how to stay upright when things wobbled. We didn't talk right away. The quiet wasn't awkward. It was kind, the kind that lets you breathe again. Eventually, I told her a little, not everything, just enough. I told her my apartment was gone. I told her my job had ended with a handshake and a box. I told her I'd called 3 people before driving there, and none of them had picked up. She listened without interrupting. No advice, no judgment, just listening. "That's a lot for one person," she said finally. It was such a simple sentence, but it felt like someone had finally set the weight down beside me, instead of handing me another box to carry. She showed me the couch and a folded blanket that smelled like clean laundry and home. "Bathroom's down the hall," she said. "There's extra toothpaste under the sink." I wanted to thank her in a way that sounded big enough. I couldn't find the words. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling fan, listening to the house settle. Every sound felt unfamiliar and safe at the same time. I realized I hadn't slept in days. Not really. Somewhere between exhaustion and relief, I cried, quietly, into a pillow that wasn't mine. In the morning, sunlight found me before I was ready. She was already up, moving around the kitchen like she'd always lived this way, with room for one more. Coffee brewed, toast popped, there was no rush in her movements. "Morning," she said, like it mattered. I sat at the table again, same chair, same warm light. She set a plate in front of me without asking if I was hungry. "Eat," she said. "You can figure everything else out later." I did. We talked more over breakfast, about nothing important, about everything. She told me about her work, about how she once had to start over with 2 boxes and a borrowed couch. I told her things I hadn't planned to say out loud. At one point she looked at me and said, "You don't have to be strong today." No one had ever said that to me before. When it was time to leave, the weight came back. Not as heavy as before, but enough to notice. At the door, I turned to her. "Thank you," I said. It still didn't feel like enough. She smiled, small and real. Sometimes kindness doesn't need a long stay, she said. It just needs a door that opens. I walked back to my car with the blanket folded under my arm. She insisted I keep it. That night didn't fix my life, but it gave me something better. It gave me rest. It gave me dignity. It gave me proof that even when everything feels closed, one person can choose to open a door. Weeks later, when I finally had a place again, a tiny one, barely furnished, I found myself standing in a grocery store aisle, watching a man count change with shaking hands. I remembered the way she hadn't made me feel small, so I stepped forward. "It's okay," I said. "I've got this." His eyes filled the same way mine had. And in that moment, I understood something. Kindness doesn't always look like grand gestures. Sometimes it looks like a couch for one night, a glass of water, a quiet breakfast, a door opened when someone had nowhere else to go. She said I could stay, but only tonight, and maybe that was all I needed. If this story touched you, let it remind you that your smallest kindness might be someone else's turning point. Open a door, offer a seat, listen without fixing. Because you never know how much one night can change a life.